You know, there's something bigger than the border between Canada and the United States. Something that binds our lands together better than any international boundary ever could. I'm on a journey to explore that essential element, Aboriginal people. And so I'm using the border as a guide to meet as many fascinating people in as many interesting places as I can. This is about our history, our culture, and our future. Because for me, the border is not a boundary. It's something completely different, and I call it the medicine line. So you may have noticed, today I've upgraded my usual transportation for a much larger vehicle. But don't worry, the Mucho Aloha is parked right below. Actually, I'm kind of exhausted, because you know, I've spent an entire summer driving back and forth all over North America. I mean, it's been great, I've been everywhere, but it's really worn me down. Every step I take, though, brings me closer to something bigger, but I don't know what it is. So for the last leg of this adventure, I'm on my way to Newfoundland. And I'm gonna explore the roots of my family and my tribe. If you've never been to Newfoundland, let me tell you, it's a pretty spectacular island. The landscape is kind of a cross between Hawaii and Lord of the Rings. But this is all in Canada. This is the land of my people. And it's really good to come home.
So we're on our way to the Flat Bay Powwow. Now, I've been to the Flat Bay Powwow several times, but this is the first year they're ever going to have it since the band has attained the official Government of Canada Indian status. We've come a long way, but now that I kind of know who I am, that's just the beginning. Now, where do we go from here?
The huge rediscovery of First Nations ancestry that swept this community has been pretty amazing. Literally thousands of people like me who didn't know that they were First Nation have now been embracing their culture. The Flat Bay Powwow is at the center of my Mi'kmaq world. This is the community where former Chief Calvin White has been working to bring the Mi'kmaq people back to the roots.
We've grown this powwow to what you see here today, which is probably 3,000 people. But perhaps the most achievable thing that we now are able to celebrate is that we've gained federal recognition. We are now legally status Indians. I mean, you and I, we've been legalized, I guess, if that's the word you want to use, by Indian and Northern Affairs. The federal government of Canada has finally recognized that the Mi'kmaq people in Newfoundland are legitimate. The card itself and the legal identity by the federal government was what myself and other people needed to be able to present to people such as you. I wanted to be able to say, listen, friend, you are of Aboriginal background. Here's where you go to find the documentation. Here's the evidence. Here's the proof. Here's who you really are. And I know that people would be receptive to that. And that's how you start to build a nation.
In just a few short years, this powwow has grown in ways I couldn't imagine. I'm seeing people and taking part in ceremonies that I've never seen in any of my previous visits.
We've come a long way, Calvin. What's the next step?
The next step is living Indian. And I don't mean burning your houses and go and build a birch bark wigwam down there, or, it's not about that, or gathering all of the European people and putting them in boats and sending them back across the ocean. That's not what living Indian is about. One of the most powerful educational things that I've learned in my lifetime about being Indian is the 7 grandfather teachings. If we have wisdom, love, respect, if we have patience, honesty, humility, and if we're truthful. These are the most powerful teachings that anybody could ever have, and we need to live by those. We need nothing else in life. And we're powerful people because we come from the land. We're part of the land. It's just that sometimes we forget how to show that power. We forget how to share that strength. So that's being Indian. That's the things we need to do.
So that's what it's really about. Now that we've made the discoveries, reconnected, and found our paths home, the real work begins. Actually, the real living begins. You know, I get what Calvin's saying. The treaty card and all the benefits it brings, well, that's not the real reward. In a way, the new responsibility, that's what it's all about. Living Indian. And these folks, well, they're already doing it. My friend Maggie Paul summed that all up for me in her language.
How you would describe that is spirit.
And how would I say it in Passamaquoddy?
Chicha.
Chicha?
Chicha.
Chicha. Chicha.
Yeah.
Spirit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool cruising around with my camera and meeting all these new people and having this big adventure. But the real adventure is just living truthfully. And it's all happening right here. I'm on my First Nation home turf, Flat Bay, Newfoundland, for the big annual powwow celebration. And so far, it's been the perfect homecoming. But now, it's almost time to go. But before I left, I met up with my sister Nancy, and we went to a church archive. The priest showed us some records of my grandfather's roots on this island. David Colomb was his name, and yeah, that's where I get the David in my name. The church records gave us the lowdown on where he was buried, and the cemetery was just up the road, so we took a little spin over to take a look at the grave. I still had a little of my Rose Prince dirt from the Jack BC, and I thought maybe it would be a nice offering. I'd like to think my grandfather would have liked it. This dirt has traveled all the way from the Pacific Ocean on the west coast to the Atlantic Ocean on the east coast, maybe with a few stops along the way.
What an experience. There's something about coming home that just fills a hole in you that you didn't know was there. This has been so great, but I've actually have a whole lot of questions now about my dad's side. There seems to be a big gap about the mid-1700s where nobody knows what went on. I think to find that, I'm gonna have to go way down south, into the swamps of Louisiana.
So I'm driving south one more time, but this time it's a little different. I gotta do this. This whole adventure, well, it's about going one step beyond what's familiar to me. So why stop now? On my way south, I decided to stop in Halifax.
You believe we're Acadian?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I went to visit my Uncle Bernard and tell him what I was up to. He's done some looking into our family connections south of the border. To be specific, our Acadian roots in Louisiana.
I'm thinking of going to Louisiana and see if I can find some relatives. What do you think of that?
You'll find cadets in Louisiana if you go there.
Should I be looking for just cadet names in Louisiana?
Sure would be. By golly, yeah. And some of them are called G-A-U-D-E, God. Others are G-O-D-E-T. I think you'll do fine. I really believe it. If you really want to find them, you'll find them there, yeah.
It's hard to imagine that I started this whole journey of mine in Louisiana, and now I'm going back to Louisiana to look into a family connection. Wow, it's kind of crazy to go back. While we're driving, my partner, the Mucho Aloha, it passes a significant milestone. Here it comes. Wait for it. Whoosh. Still running. Hasn't let me down yet.
So around the mid-1700s, there was something called the expulsion of the Acadians. And what happened there was a whole lot of my relatives got put on boats and sent down to Louisiana. Bang, gone. Some of them never ever came back. Some of them just disappeared.
Now, the records about my family's connection to the South, well, they're kind of sketchy. So I'm gonna go off on a hunch. I think I'm just about to meet my distant, probably even a little more distant, cousin. He's got my name, folks.
I have no idea what to expect on this one. That's crazy.
Anything can happen with this guy. You know, I've met a lot of people on this trip, but hopefully I've saved the wildest one for last. Looks like he builds boats.
Well, we're here. This is the big moment. Let's just see what happens.
This must be him, my cousin. It's been 300 years, but I can see the resemblance.
Hey, Clint, Dave Gaudette.
Clint Goday. It's Goday down here.
Awesome. This is great. You build boats.
We build boats, fishing boats, work boats. Started off doing hunting boats, you know, when I was a kid.
So I'm here with this guy, who I'm sure is a distant relative. We're surrounded by boats,
I've been doing it since
right near the
1991.
Louisiana bayou. And all the boats have got my name on them. This is like a trip. I mean, if I'm not dreaming, this is crazy. You know, there's one experience that I've always wanted to have, and this would make the day perfect. I'm just hoping he's gonna say what I think he's gonna say.
So what are we gonna do today, Clint?
You want to go catch some gators?
Man, I was hoping you'd say that,
All right,
man.
all right.
Alligator hunting. He said alligator hunting. It's like alligator hunting on a boat in the bayou with a cousin I just met.
Come on, man. What do you do? Someone asks you to go alligator hunting, a cousin, you don't say no.
And so, in this giant custom boat, with my last name on it, Clint and his buddies are taking me on another adventure. Alligator hunting on the Louisiana bayou. That's awesome, man. I'm in Louisiana, going on an alligator hunt with Clint. He's a distant relative of mine. And him and his buddies, well, they're taking me out in the bayou. This is an adventure I've always wanted to experience. Now, for anyone who's wondered what this bayou is like, well, let me tell you, it's exactly what you think. Scorching heat, untamed wilderness, and gators around every corner. Everywhere you look, there could be one, just below the surface, just kind of waiting to snap at you. Was this guy really my cousin? What if he's not? No, he is. He's gotta be.
So how long you been doing this?
Oh, pretty much all my life.
Yeah?
Yep.
How old were you when you took your first gator?
And I was probably 8 years old.
Gator hunt, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He went on his first gator hunt when he was 8. How crazy is that? And the alligators. I'm not sure how to find them, but Clint knows exactly what he's looking for. Even from up here, Clint can still see the little ripples in the water. That means an alligator is close by, just below the surface. And trust me, they can see us way before we see them.
I don't know if he's gonna go under or not, but he's.
You see one?
Yeah,
Where?
small one, right in front of you, right there. I think he went under.
Too cool.
It's just his head sticking out of the water. That's it.
But you could see it, eh?
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Really, all I see is black water.
That was probably another one right there. You see all the bubbles?
You saw that from over there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess he'll do the spotting. Clint takes me to meet his friends. Now these guys, well, they're the real deal. And the only way to hunt gators is to have a claim on the bayou. Their families have been here since the Acadian expulsion, meaning the bayou is their backyard. With our second boat leading the way, we head out. But these guys, it's just another day out hunting. But for me, this is the adventure I've always dreamed about. Since these guys are licensed hunters, they follow all the rules and stay within their limit for each season. Believe it or not, this little boat is where all the hunting happens. And these guys, well, they do everything from there, including collecting the gators after they've been killed. Every time they see bubbles or a ripple, they send out that treble hook and slowly drag it back. As far as I can tell, the equipment is pretty simple. But what's not simple is the instincts these guys have developed for hunting these alligators. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say an alligator won't be very happy when he gets pulled up into the boat. I think this is dangerous. They seem to know exactly where to look. Wow, it's hard to tell. Even with my camera, I can't see these things, but they sure do. And just like Cousin Clint, they can spot little patches of bubbles and ripples from like 100 feet away. I guess that comes from learning how to do this since you're 8 years old. They see something, they cast out, and then they try again. If they miss, they just move on to the next spot. It takes a long time, but these guys are patient.
A bad day alligator hunting is still a better day of working at the mall. Guaranteed.
They see something. Here we go again.
All right, I got him.
Casting their hook, looking for a snag. This is gonna be crazy. What's gonna happen if they snag something? There's something there. Finally, a bite.
How big is he?
8.5 feet. Hold on, boys.
Holy jumpins. Nobody told me alligators are strong enough to pull a boat.
He's getting slightly larger.
Wow, this is smaller than I thought it would be. But it pulled a boat.
Immediately after the alligator's caught, you must put a state-issued tag in him, so that's what Chad is gonna do right here to make sure we're legal. Not quite as large as we wanted, but we're working on a big one.
But wait, we got one more tag. For this next one, we're gonna try something different. We're gonna check the alligator traps. Just when I thought this adventure couldn't get more exhilarating, these guys are gonna let me pull a gator into the boat. And now, it's my shot.
Whoa, hello.
He's right under you. And
Yeah, I
looks
see
awfully
him.
upset.
Probably not in a good mood, is he?
These animals are all muscle and crazy strong. Wow, look at this thing. This is a cross between a dinosaur and a power machine. Now on this journey, I've been hunting more than a couple times, but never like this. And I'm really not sure if this is fishing or hunting. Maybe it's a little bit of both. You know, there's two different bloods running through me. French and Aboriginal. And whether I'm fishing the ocean or hunting the land, both sides of my heritage have embraced the natural world. In a lot of ways, we're all the same. There still is a sacredness to this. It's just a little different. Living through this journey has taught me to respect the animal, and appreciate how incredible it is. Now that it's all done, I can chill out and think about everything. While I'm talking to Clint, something occurs to me. This journey has taken me all over the continent, meeting total strangers like Clint, and never once has anyone ever turned me away. No cold shoulders, just open arms and handshakes. Hugs most of the time. It's really a small world. We're connected to each other by a hair's breadth of difference. I've come so far on this journey, but it's not so much the places that I've traveled to as it is the people that I've met along the way. Those who have helped me understand why I'm on this journey in the first place. Learning about them is really learning about myself as well. I've started to think of the medicine line as something different now. I'm starting to see it as a line we draw between ourselves and the world, between other people, our history, and even the earth itself. But this line between all of us doesn't have to be a boundary. It can be a bond, and that makes a huge difference in how I see things now. And that's what I've learned. You don't need to make a transcontinental voyage like I did to figure it out. Look further beyond your own medicine line, and you'll see that it was never there at all.